Hey guys, so today we're going to get into finding the inverse of a 2 by 2 matrix. Now, if you guys recall from previous videos, 2 by 2 matrix is one where we have 2 rows and 2 columns. If you can't remember, go back to our intro video on matrices and you will get a bit more info in that video. So moving on, how to find the inverse of a 2 by 2 matrix. Now, matrices at the CSEC level, at the K10 level, if you're writing exams, if you're writing state exams, whatever grade you belong to, you might also see the standard form of matrices where they have a sub 11, a sub 12, a sub 21, and a sub 22 based on the location of your elements within the matrix, and both forms are completely acceptable, and it doesn't matter which form you are using. In essence, what's important is your method. Now, before we go forward, the inverse of a matrix has a particular notation, and that notation is, it looks like an exponential power of -1. Essentially, that is what it looks like, but it's not. It's called or denoted by the words inverse of A or A inverse, right? And how do we find this? Well, there's actually a formula to find inverse of a matrix. I also take note that when you are reading this out, never say A to the power of -1. You are reading it as A inverse. So A inverse is given by a special formula. And you guys should recall that when you have a letter within parentheses like these, that's the determinant of a matrix. All right, so if you guys can't remember, go back to the video on determinant of matrices, and it would highlight that a notation for the determinant of a matrix is also given by this. Okay, so continuing with our formula here, to find the inverse of a matrix, it's simply 1 over its determinant by what goes in brackets here are 2 steps. The first step involves an interchange of your leading diagonal. So we will change or switch up those values so that they are in opposite positions. And now what we are going to do secondly with our other diagonal, B and C, is that we are going to impose a change of sign. Now, I want it to be made clear that the first step you do is interchange. You're interchanging your elements of your leading diagonal and I'm sorry for the background noise. It's just been very noisy today, and I hope the guy who's passing along in my street here does not see this video and say, hey, you're playing my sound there, because it's not a sound. He's just speaking on a microphone. But anywho's, all right, back to this. So I'm trying to speak loud so I drown him out, but I don't think it's gonna work. Okay, guys, that's just life. It's just life, you know. You gotta move on. So first step, we interchange elements of the leading diagonal, and second step is you wanna change the existing sign. Change existing sign or signs of elements in other diagonal. All right, and the reason diagonal. All right, there we go with the spelling, man. All right, now the reason I said change this sign is because when I was a kid, I remember learning this formula in the sense that you always had to have a negative b and negative c. And in my head, I always thought those values had to be negative. So, for example, if my question gave me b as -5, I left b as -5 because the formula said it has to have a sign in front of it that's negative. So I didn't really understand what I was learning. So what I tell my students is that when you're trying to memorize formulas, it's never so it's not helpful. Rather try to understand the concept. Understand the concept behind the process. Right? Now in this example here, what they're saying is that if B is positive, then when you want to find the inverse, you will make sure that your B now becomes negative. See, I didn't get that. I didn't understand it when I was a student back in my time. So I'm trying to save you guys from making mistakes in the future and just letting you guys know that when your question comes, if your B value was originally negative, then when you're finding the inverse, you actually need to change that to a positive value. Okay, guys? So let's look at some examples of questions to see exactly what am I speaking about. So, example. First question. Okay, so we're going to do example 1 here. Let's just say they have given you a matrix, a 2 by 2 matrix here, and the values are 3, 4, 2, 1. Okay. And the question is asking us to find A inverse. Now you have to learn to read this as A inverse and not A to the power of -1. Now we know that there's a formula that says A inverse is given by 1 over its determinant by a certain interchange and change of sign of those elements within. So how do we apply this? Well, according to this question, right? According to this question, the first thing we need to do is to find that determinant. Now, some students may use the notation determinant of A instead of this symbol, and that's okay. That's fine. You still get it correct. It's internationally recognized. Nothing is wrong with it. To find the determinant of a 2 by 2 matrix, if you remember, it's the product of your leading diagonal, subtract the product of the other. All right, so that would give us 3 times 1, subtract 4 times 2. And that's 3 subtract 8, which is -5. Now, we are not finished. We are going to put this into our formula here. So we have 1 over -5 because we have found that the determinant is -5. So we are simply replacing that value into our formula. Now, continuing with our formula, they are telling us that the first thing we need to do is to interchange the elements of the leading diagonal. Our leading diagonal, guys, up here, our leading diagonal is 3 and 1. So we are going to interchange those values to get 1 up here instead and 3 down here. That's it. We're good to go. Then the second step is telling us to change the existing signs of the elements in the other diagonal. Now, what are the elements in the other diagonal? Well, the elements in the other diagonal are 4 and 2. They did not say to switch them. They did not say to interchange them, but it did say to change the existing sign. In front of both, in the question, you can see that these two values were positive. This was positive 4 here, and this was positive 2. So if we change the existing sign, we get -4 and -2. And it's as simple and as sweet as that, guys. That's our answer. There is one last step we can take. we have found that A inverse is equal to 1 over negative 5 by 1, negative 4, negative 2, 3. Notice the use of curved brackets denotes that this is a matrix. If you have straight brackets, then that symbol means you are finding the determinant of something. Please do not mix them up. So we have a matrix here within brackets, and then essentially what we have is a fraction outside. That fraction is just a constant. It's just a number. It's just a value. And we can actually multiply that constant by every single number inside bracket to get, now if you're multiplying something by a fraction, you want to keep it on its denominator. So 1 multiply by that first value 1, multiply by the fraction outside still gives us negative 1 over 5. If we were to multiply 4 by that fraction 1/5, you'll get a negative by a negative gives us a positive. So you'll just end up getting positive 4 over 5. Similarly, that third value of negative 2 by negative 1/5 gives us positive 2 over 5. And finally, our last value of positive 3 by negative 1 over 5 gives us negative 3 over 5. So essentially, if you could pick up on what's happening is that you're just bringing in the denominator into each of these terms here, or elements rather, and you're just cleaning up your signs. If you are having two negative signs being multiplied, just remember you're going to get a positive value. I'm going to do one more question, and then we'll call that a session. Okay, guys? So how about we find example 2 here? All right, guys. Example 2, given a matrix P, and it's equal to, let's just say, 1, 0, 5, negative 3. Okay, and they want us to find B inverse. So we know from the formula B inverse is simply equal to 1 over the determinant of B multiplied by a switch of these two and a change in sign. Now you don't essentially have to write this formula. You can get straight into your answer if you'd like. Now, before you work this out, the first thing you must do is find the determinant. You guys can remember that formula is given by AD minus BC, but you can just simply recall in words that to find the determinant of a matrix, you find the product of its leading diagonals, which is 1 by negative 3, subtract the product of the other diagonal. And that's negative 3 minus 0, which is just negative 3. So we have found a value for the determinant of B, and we are going to bring it into our question. We got negative 3 here, and then finally we are going to perform what goes inside our brackets. First, we are going to switch these two numbers in the leading diagonal such that we get negative 3 goes up top and we get 1 down here. And then with respect to the second diagonal, we are supposed to change the sign or the existing sign. So 0 is a number which is neither positive nor negative. So there is no sign change for 0. 0 will remain as it is. Some students write negative 0 thinking that 0 is positive. 0 is signless, guys. It has no values, so it doesn't have a positive or negative side of the scale. It's in the center. Okay, so our answer, if you want to bring in that negative 3 into your matrix so that you get a nice clean answer, it will give us negative 3 over negative 3, which is 1. 0 over negative 3 gives us 0. Negative 5 over negative 3 will give us positive 5 over 3. And then 1 over negative 3 gives us the same thing. Remember, you are multiplying. If you cannot work out these questions on your own, please use your calculator to multiply your fractions by your numbers, and you will get each of these answers I have within brackets. Remember, practice always makes perfect. So guys, I hope you understand how to finally find the inverse of a matrix. Please note that these formulas are not given on your formula sheet, so you do have to find a way to help yourself remember the process involved in working it out. Like I said, it's never so much the formula, it's the concept. Okay, guys? So looking forward to having you guys view my next video. Once again, if you want a tutorial on this topic, please leave your comments down below. I'm requesting it and I will humbly oblige. Okay, good to be with you. All the best and see you soon. Bye.